All right, Weaver Lake, I'm here with Dr. Chris Newman. He's going to answer some questions that you asked him. The first question, to get it out of the way, is what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is black.
Oh, interesting. How do you spend your time outside of doing your research?
I spend my time when I'm not doing research mostly doing work on the house, doing carpentry work and building and projects, building decks and decorating. And when I'm not doing that, I'm mostly chopping down trees and preparing firewood.
All right. We had a couple of students ask if you enjoyed your research, and if you did enjoy your research, why?
I enjoy my research because I don't really feel that I ever have to go to work. My hobby is my job, so I get to do the thing I enjoy, and it becomes the job that I do, so I can make a living basically having fun all the time. And I enjoy it because, well, I get to work outdoors, which I like. I get to work with lots of different people, which is nice. I get to work with people from all over the world. With this group, it's people from Canada and from the United States. But other than that, I work with lots of people in Asia, in China, and other parts of Europe, Norway at the moment, Bulgaria, and all kinds of different things. And you get to see all kinds of different cool animals and work in different forests and things. So basically you're outdoors having fun all day long, and it becomes your job, which is really good.
Oh, that does sound like a pretty good job. What is the most challenging part of your research?
I think the most challenging part actually is the office work. It's kind of fun to go out and do all this work outdoors, surveying, looking for animals and doing things in the forest, cutting down trees. That's exciting, but analyzing the data and doing all the difficult math that goes with it, that can be kind of dull after a while, hour after hour, sitting there by the computer. And then writing the scientific papers that go with it can be quite difficult as well.
All right. I had a couple of students that were wondering, why did you bring teachers to work with you instead of other scientists?
We have both. We have other scientists as well, and we have university students. We have a big group of Tokyo University students coming out later this year to Nova Scotia to help us. And we have other scientists as well that come here, and we visit them and we collaborate around the world. But the teachers are really good because, of course, these teachers, like this experience now, go back to the classrooms and they tell all their pupils the work that they've been doing, and it really spreads the word and engages lots of people, lots of families. There's a real cascade effect in the kind of work that we're doing, and educates people about wildlife and ecosystems.
Oh, all right. What would you tell a sixth grader about being a scientist or science in general?
It's a challenging thing to do. There's all kinds of different science, of course. There's the biological sciences, there's astronomy and physics, there's geology, there's biochemistry, there's computer science, and they're all somewhat different to one another. You've got to be quite good at math in the end. That always becomes important for analysing the data. Statistics, which is a horrible thing, but you've got to be able to do it. And you've got to think logically too. I think that's very important. A story has to have a beginning, a middle and an end. And you've got to get all your facts in order, so you have to enjoy facts. And for the sorts of work that we do in the field, the sort of ecosystem work, it's a bit like being a detective, really. You find field signs, you find animals, you trap them, you use cameras and things to find evidence, and then you piece it all together to come up with what's going on in the wilds that you're looking at. So it's kind of like detective work in many ways.
All right. Why did you want to begin studying badgers, and how did you begin to study badgers?
I began to study badgers because they are not polar bears. I originally got some funding when I was 21 years old to come to Canada and study polar bears. And the university I was going to work with, the professor I was going to work with, retired. And the university said, well, you can still come, but you can't do polar bears, you can look at voles. And I didn't want to move countries from England to Canada just to look at voles, so I stayed in England, and I looked around for opportunities there, and I had a choice between badgers, Chinese water deer, and warthogs. And of those three different things that I could do my doctorate on, badgers seemed like the most interesting, because there used to be badgers in the fields where I grew up, so I was used to seeing them and used to go and watch them a bit. So it was kind of by chance rather
Do you like badgers, even though you need to trap them?
I do like badgers. They're a cool animal. They can be strong and fierce when they're provoked, but they're normally quite placid. They're friendly with one another. They're group living. They live in families, and they have these family relationships with one another. And they're very, very versatile too. They eat all kinds of different things. They're very tenacious. They always manage to find a way of getting to that last bit of food. And they're really, really strong. I've seen them lift patio slabs up to find food. I've seen them break through solid doors to get into buildings to find food. So they're really quite an interesting and challenging animal to work with.
All right. And my last question for you is, if you had to do any other job in the world, what would it be?
I would be a Formula One racing mechanic. I love fast cars. Quite like driving them, but mostly I like engineering and working on cars. And I do like Formula One racing, so I would probably be a Formula One engineer.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Chris Newman.